What's up, guys and gals? It's time for the latest piece of One Piece, chapter 1178, entitled A Fading Nightmare. Ooh, and cover serial that is quite funny. We have, of course, in the black and white manga, we do not know that Captain Eustace Kid, has a red cloak. You know, it looks black and stuff like that. And it is funny. I don't know about anybody else, but a lot of the time, like when I picture colors when I'm reading manga, I always picture my characters having darker clothes, dapper clothes, you know what I mean? Like everything that's black is highlighted or something trimmed in black. And then you see the actual colorization, whether in a manga cover or, you know, official artwork or in the anime proper. And it's like, oh, no, it's a red trim with a green shirt and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that's not what I pictured, but it is what it is. So Kid, I always thought was wearing like a black cloak. Of course, this was years ago. And so it's quite funny that he actually does have a deeper sort of, not going to say magenta, but obviously definitely red. He's got an off-red colored cloak here, and having the bull for the cover serial, you know, just charging at his jacket, and Kid going, oh, for God's sakes. And this bull is massive. This is one hell of a goddamn big bull. So, funny little cover serial. I like it. So, when we jump into the proper chapter, there's a few things to discuss. Number one is that Nami is doing her job with Zeus and blah blah blah, you know, it's like, alright, clean up everything, Zeus, do what you can. I know Elbaf is freaking massive, and I think even as readers we tend to forget like how massive this place must be. So Zeus is trying to do his best, but there's a lot to cover. But we still have Jinbei, Sanji, you know, they still got Killingham in chains, and they're not letting up the guard. Frankie's there and stuff like that. Now, Luffy immediately, like, grabbed Brook and Usopp and immediately beelined it back towards this group and said, here's Usopp and Brook, you know, they're really in bad shape and stuff like that. I'm going to leave them to you because I'm pissed and I'm about to go wreck a bitch. And that's when Frankie just like, hey, need backup? He's like, I'll count on you if things get bad, but right now, I gotta punch something, you know? And it's like, alright. So, Luffy immediately takes back off in Gear 5th, and Frankie and Sanji and everybody, they're still just watching Killingham. But smart to do so, because as what we'll see here, not once, but twice in this chapter, about not, like, keeping an eye on these guys. So, this is where, at first I was like, alright, who is speaking here? Because just the way the speech bubble is, it looks like Loki's talking while he's charging up a hyper beam. It looks like Loki's the one talking, but it's Emu through Gunko's body here, saying that 'twas but a few years ago, thy giants was swept by the sea. It's like, alright, listen up here, Shakespeare. Language has evolved. Alright, you want to say a couple of kinky words? You want to say lieutenant instead of lieutenant, you know, which still technically that's more of an accent thing, if anything else. You want to go on and say, you know, 'twas a few times. 'Twas the night before Christmas. Okay. Alright. But stop trying to pretend like you're a poet and you didn't even know it. 'Twas but a few short years ago when a giant ship was glimmed at the sea. You mean saw. Helmed by a captain of truly immense stature. There was a big-ass bitch on a big-ass boat. Like, I know what they're going for here, but because I have such, like, go check out 90 Hemmings podcast. We've talked about this at length, like, on the last 3 of them during break weeks. And Emu does not impress me. Emu is a little bit of a... what's the word I'm looking for? Bitch of a leader. So, I've got no, like, you want to start talking like some medieval Shakespearean Victorian, oh yes, how dost thou does this then that. You want to start doing some Romeo and Juliet bullshit with me? You better back that up with some goddamn good characterization. You better back that up with some Escanor level every time you show up on screen. 100,000 more hits. every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, do not try to show up and talk like you're all that in a bag of chips when you're just a regen merchant giving more merchants more regen. I'm not impressed by you yet. You have to show up. So, goes on the spiel about, oh yes, here's Loki's backstory. And it was once upon a time, and Loki's not listening. Hyper beam attack. And I'm like, yep, proper answer, Loki. Let's go, Loki. And Griever Luffy shows up and he's like, Loki, you know, I wanted some fun too here. Boom! And he shows up. And then Emu keeps going on, and he's just like, during that self-same period. I'm sitting here going, I'm not going to look it up. I'm sure it's a word, but I've never even heard during the self-same period. Self-same. Never heard that fucking word in my life. I'm a British Canadian. I spell with the letter U, like a normal person who learned English. And I still don't know or have ever heard the word self-same. I get the context. I'm sure we all know what it means, but I'm sitting there going, you know, I read most of Shakespeare's play as, you know, both a teenager and an adult. Read King Lear, Twelfth Night, you know, Romeo and Juliet, obviously. I've read a lot of that, you know, Macbeth and stuff. And I'm sitting here going, self-same. I've never seen that word in my life. They told me ain't a word my entire life. But then they got a word like self-same that this is the first time I am 35 fucking years old and I have never seen this word spelt out. I would think that was a typo that someone like messed up with an iMessage spell check. That's what I would have thought seeing this word. So, like, I'm not blaming, by the way, the translators. No. They are doing a fantastic job. I'm saying that Emu does not have the right yet to talk like this. You want to do platitudes, and you want to talk like some Machiavellian schemer, and have the though and thou and thee is the greatest. Start backing some shit up. So, either way, continues to say all about Loki's backstory, being like, yes, a large flying beast, I should have known. So, actually, there's a backstory of Emu, or the backstory of Loki, like when he went out to sea, and obviously something happened with Shanks, and he was chained up back to Elbaf. So when Loki went out to sea, he obviously did not hide this dragon form and stuff like that. Emu knew about it. By the way, Bermuda Triangle, flying beast, knew about it, and this just makes them look even that much more incompetent here. Because, yeah, literally, we're looking for this thing, just like the Nika fruit. Oh, there's a giant flying animal on a giant ship. Do 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 do. Seriously, Emu would be terrible on Jeopardy, is all I'm trying to say here. Because this is, yeah. Emu knew about this. 20 years. Did shit. Yeah, okay. Alright. So, either way, as I said, you know, during this entire, thou is this, and thee is thou, and thou is the thoustest of the thesest. And fucking, after, like, Loki's like, I don't know where the fucking bitch went. And Livy's like, oh, I see her. And it's like, I'm going to go after her. And then, boom, Emu proper, or shadow form, comes out. And it's just like, oh, if you should all be erased from the world like Rox was. And Loki's like, wait, what the fuck did you just say? And Luffy's like, huh? What's going on? And it's like, I shall empower thee with full metal alchemist Satan circles, transmutation circle combine with a demonic contract. And you shall give me a lifespan. You shall have the strength. But you will hate each other. Do me reverse. And it's like, okay, what are we doing here? Seriously, what are we doing? And Loki and Luffy are just like, what the hell are you thinking? Screw this thing doesn't hurt. Fuck you. And I'm just like, Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, I'm going to go off on a limb and say since Domi Reversi seemingly, did work on somebody like Rocks, right? I'm going to go off on a limb and say it's specifically due to the fate, the destiny thing that a lot of us don't like. No, a lot of people don't like Chosen One, but the Chosen One thing can be done right. Look at Star Wars. Chosen One things, just because something is a trope does not mean it can't be handled well and can be a great story beat. So, though this is a destiny, a bit of a fate thing, the Needhog fruit and the Nika fruit obviously protect whatever power, devil fruit or otherwise, that Emu is implementing. These demonic contracts do not affect those who bear the Nika. It's got nothing to do with the Will of D. It's got nothing to do with Conqueror's Hockey, because Rocks had both of those in spades and still got Domi Reversi'd. It's obviously, it's the fruits. So, this is a bit of a destiny thing. I'm okay with it. I know some people won't be, but it's fine as far as I'm concerned. So Emu's trying to play some Death Note level like, yes, but it was all part of the plan. I expected this to not work and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh. Maybe they did expect that. But I just give 0 quarter to Emu until this bitch gets off their ass and does something, okay? Hiding behind Domi Reversi bullshit, hiding behind regen merchants, and then being a regen merchant yourself does not impress me. I'm sorry, it does not impress me. The fact that you couldn't go out and take care of the 4 Yonko this whole time, in the last 30 years, tells me that you are not all that in a bag of chips. You know? So, I'm just, yeah. And the regen shit got old so long. I grew up in the Dragon Ball Z era, okay? After the perfect Cell Saga, the regen shit got really old. That's why a lot of people hate on the Buu Saga. By the way, Buu Saga is amazing. But still, I was a child then. I'm middle-aged now. I'm telling you, no. Stop hiding behind your regen and demonic covenant bullshit. And when you finally show up, I'll give you some credit. And we'll talk about that. So, we get a booming Dawn Gatling from Luffy. Loki realizes, hey, yeah, even my Hyper Beam shit, like, fuck this. Ragnar, let's go. It's a little too small to hit. Niflheim. Boom. Great choice, by the way, because after booming Dawn Gatling, which does work, even with Shadow Form is all beat up and stuff, uses Niflheim to freeze them in a cube. Gunko and Emu, now separated from Gunko's body, or Princess Shuri, whatever, is now completely frozen in Niflheim. And Luffy's like, holy shit, that move was awesome and stuff. Luffy, of course, that's the time when Luffy gets out of Gear 5th and stuff like that. Loki even acknowledges, he goes, but I have no idea what you are, but this will, keep you quiet for a minute. And he's just like, besides, I was that big form way too long. And he's huffing and puffing. So Loki, while, of course, he's injured and stuff, this form probably takes a lot of stamina to maintain, takes a lot out of him. And like Luffy, these 2 massive devil fruits, the Nika fruit and the Needhog fruit, cannot be maintained for longer periods of time. So Loki realizes this, and so does, Luffy. This is all acknowledged. Now, the rains, everything's going by. We're going to the fishing village, the alcohol village, the hunting village, all these villages. Nami's like, Zeus, do your thing! Do your thing! And it's like, yes, Nami, I will! And stuff, and we're seeing Jinbei help out. We're trying to put out all the fires, and it's just like, hey, Loki might not have killed King Harald, but look at all the devastation he's caused. And it's just like, alright. I get it, because I'm doing the same thing against Emu right now. Like, I got a hate boner for Emu, and the Giants Velbath obviously have a hate boner for Loki, so it's still like, he might have saved all of Velbath, but now we gotta deal with all these fucking fires. Still an asshole. That's their humph sort of attitude about it. So, it is what it is. Then we get a double-page spread with Dory, Broggy, Zoro, the new Giant Warrior Pirates. They're like, hey, this all worked. This was a good time. If there's any left, and of course there are a couple left, Chopper at Monster Point shows up because Zoro's like, all right, I'll take care of this. And they're just like, oh, Chopper shows up, hits them, and once again does that, the demonic thing goes out of them. Now, this is a Devil Fruit thing. 100%. this is a devil fruit thing that I'm convinced of, because Monster Point Chopper is just like, I have no idea, but it looks like when I hit them, they immediately go out, and he's not killing them. So he's immediately doing it, and Zoro's just like, is it because you're a doctor? The funny thing is, this is labeled as a joke. Maybe it's because you're an amazing doctor. And then, of course, Chopper does his blushing thing and blah, blah, blah. But I want to talk about this for just a quick minute, and I'm sure most people will come up with this theory that the human, specifically Nomi, would have the capacity to be like, have some secondary quality to it, in the sense of it's literally the human, it's all about humanity. These things are possessed, and this restores the humanity back in them, sort of idea, by being touched. Like the human fruit is a weakness, just like everything has a natural weakness. This Domi Reversi has a natural weakness to something, and possession, whatever, is love, humanity, that kind of idea. So Sengoku and Chopper having human fruits, this would be a case. There's also the other possibility that because Chopper wanted to be a doctor who could cure all illnesses so bad, and the fruit he ate was the human fruit, it could be a manifestation of his desire, because devil fruits, of course, are, from what we understand, if we're led to believe that they truly are the wills and the wishes of the human heart, they are the desires made manifest of people's wishes. Chopper desired so bad to be a one-all, cure-all doctor that this is seen as a sickness or an illness, or at the very least, like cancer, an anomaly, what's the word I'm looking for? I had it on the tip of my tongue, but it's just an affront to nature. It goes against nature. And all Chopper is doing by hitting them is restoring that balance. He's healing them. Because this is a sickness. This is a poison, a toxin. And it's an unnatural toxin going against the natural order. And Chopper, as a doctor, with his human fruit made manifest, is able to, with a hit, with a touch, he probably doesn't actually need to hit them. He could probably just touch them, and then Domi Reversi would, get out of the body, because it's almost like holy magic versus demonic possession, because he's so... I think Zoro, like the whole Conqueror's Haki bit back in Wano, I think Zoro's actually hit the nail on the mark, because normally I would say, okay, Sengoku can do this, and it's something with the human fruit. Now I'm thinking it's actually the manifestation of Chopper's wishes to be a cure-all doctor, and since this goes against, Domi Reversi is against the natural order of things, Chopper's desire and the fruits made manifest allow him to reverse the Domi Reversi, because he's curing them. Of, sort of idea. And Zoro's, it's because you're an amazing doctor. So, I'm actually going with that theory over that the human fruits specifically are about this, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, they keep going on about putting out all the fires. It's fine. Apparently the owl and all the books were saved from the library, because there's not even any burnt pages, like even crumbs, anything like that Robin and Saul can see, so they're not sure. Now Summers is slowly putting himself back together, so it's a good thing that, as I said, 4 of the Straw Hats or 3, because Nami's busy with Zeus, but 3 of the Straw Hats are being quite responsible. Frankie and Sanji, at the very least, are guarding Killingham, while Jinbei and Nami are doing their thing. And they're guarding Killingham, because Summers is slowly but surely putting himself back together. We see the heart and the half the head putting itself slowly back together. Loki and Luffy are kind of out of it a little bit here, sort of drained and stuff like that, and they have a little bit of banter. While Emu, while frozen, is slowly sipping away, and nobody's paying attention that the dark matter that is Emu disappears even while in Niflheimed by Loki. Then immediately we jump to the final part of the chapter, where the Holy Land of Marijoa and the Pangea Castle, the Flower Room, and then we see Emu's still there physically and says, "Elders, the Holy Land will be without Mu for a short while." And so it's like, okay. At first, before I read the last line, I thought this meant that Emu was incredibly weakened. You know, the way I implied it, like the Holy Land would be without move for a short while. It was something like the Odin sleep or something like that. It was like, okay, Emu used up too much of their power. And obviously, the Holy Land is not on fire right now. So, what's been going on? Because, or at the very least, well, it seems like there's nothing wrong with the Holy Land because it's just like, elders, yes, Emu. You know, like everything's a normal Tuesday. So maybe revolutionaries didn't attack, or the attack is already thwarted. What's going on? Like the riots have been. What's going on exactly? So we still have no indication on what's going on there. We see the hell butterfly stolen from Bleach up in this bitch, you know, flying around and stuff like that. And it's just, as I said, I immediately thought, before I saw the last tagline, I immediately thought that Emu was like, that took a shit ton out of me, and I failed. I used Domi Reversing on the Giants, and even people like Dory and Broggy level, which I assume it takes more out of them to do a Domi Reversing with A, massive quantity, and B, depending on the will of the people, like the strength of the people, like Harold, like Dory, like Broggy, it takes a little bit more strength or power from them to use, right? It's not an infinite, it's a finite power that they can wield. And when they attempted it on Luffy and Loki, it's still one of those things where if you cast a spell and it does 0 damage, you still lost MP for it, using a little video game logic here. So I'm just like, they tried it, it failed, you still get taxed the you know, the cost to cast the spell sort of idea. And they took that, and then afterwards getting, you know, beaten up by Luffy, Niflheim by Loki, that this took a lot out of them, and maybe they needed to sleep to prepare to do something like that. They needed to go away. But now, apparently, it's, with the last line is implied, could Emu really be going there? Dun, dun, dun! And that's the end. So, this feels very much like a Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself sort of line. The Holy Land will be out without Mew for a short while. Infinity Gauntlet. In this case, Giant Straw Hat. Pff, that is way too big for my head. You know, but either way, I like the chapter. I just like bitching about Emu. But the chapter itself is actually quite good. Very well paced. A lot happened in a short span of time. Great utilization of all the pages by Oda here to showcase us multiple things happening, ending. Like, we didn't need a whole page of this. Just Summers, okay, is reforming. Killingham is still captured. Gunko is still in ice. Emu did reform Marijoa. They defeated him. They're weakened. Elbaf is saved. Chopper, we still don't know what's going on with Chopper. It has nothing to do. Chopper didn't accidentally wax a giant too hard and accidentally kill him, and then he reformed like what Zoro and Dory and Broggy and stuff were doing. No. This is something different, something separate with Chopper. Whether it's got to do with the human fruit itself and its variations due to a natural weakness for some reason, or it's something specific to Chopper based on his devil fruit. Or there's a third option that I'm not even thinking of. But we covered so many things in this chapter. And as I said, I'm really excited for it. So that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. Chapter 1178. Apparently no break next week, by the looks of it. Or I'm not seeing anything. So yeah, that means 1179 next week. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Like, comment, subscribe, as I already said. Plug, all that fun jazz. And we'll see you guys back here next time. Have a good one, everyone. Sayonara.